This is Matt Sexton with the Florida Department of Transportation's CADD office, part of production support. Welcome to today's webinar. It's the first in a series of webinars on FDOT Connect for Open Roads Designer and other Connect Edition products. This is the FDOT Connect Design Survey Workflow webinar. John Hazlip will be presenting today. I wanted to go over a few things before we get started. Of course, there is a question and answer dialogue that you can enter questions into. Everyone is muted because we do have about somewhere over 300 people logged in right now. So if you have questions, feel free to enter those into the question and answer dialogue. We will be doing our best to answer those questions as we go. If we don't get a chance to answer your question, we will be going through the chat log afterwards and answering those questions and compiling a PDF that we will post with the recorded webinar. So if that was one of your questions, yes, we are recording this webinar. This will be posted to our website, hopefully within a week of the webinar itself. So that should answer some of those questions. But yes, please ask any questions in the question and answer dialogue. I want to go over a couple of things additionally. If you're not familiar with FDOT Connect, this is our new workspace for Open Roads Designer and other Connect Edition products. It can be downloaded from our website, fdot.gov/CADD, C-A-D-D, under CAD software, which is located in the left column of the website. And you'll find FDOT Connect right here, FDOT Connect CAD software. And if I can give one piece of advice, I would highly recommend reading the installation guide. This software installs a little bit different than the previous FDOT SS4 that you might be familiar with. So please do read the installation guide. It should answer all your questions about the installation process. If you have any other questions, you can contact us. Because if you'd like to contact us, you can contact us for support at cad.support@dot.state.fl.us. That's CADD, C-A-D-D, .support@dot.state.fl.us. And of course, below that email address on my screen, you do see our website address. So that should be all I need to say to start out with. So John, I'm going to be the presenter right quick. I can hear that you're already unmuted, so I'm going to make you the presenter, and you can go ahead and begin your presentation at your leisure.
Okay, thank you, Matt, and welcome everyone. This is FDOT Connect Design Survey Workflow, What's New in ORD. And as one thing I wanted to say was that before I get started, I'd like to tell you all that the survey workflow is almost exactly like SS4, but there are differences. So if you know the Open Roads survey workflow in SS4, you should be comfortable with our workflow here. And as Matt said, make sure you completely read the installation guide before installing. It's not click, 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 next, next, next. It's you have to set up paths in ORD and match them in FDOT Connect. Okay, so what's new in ORD? First, the interface is completely different. And when you open ORD for the first time, you'll see some Bentley training. I want to show you a little bit about that. Setting the workspace, I'm going to talk about that. Creating a project, setting the workflow. The FDOT Ribbon and the Create Files tool is about the same, but there's a little twist on that, on how to start your project files. And then I also want to tell you about how to delete a project. So when things go wrong, when you have wrong numbers, or you just want to get rid of that one, I'm going to show you how you can delete a project. So let me jump into ORD, and when you open it for the first time, you're going to see a screen that's something like this. It's going to have view examples. You're going to see your learning in this area, and then of course news announcements. But down here on the bottom, you'll see more training. And if you'll click on that, if you have your connection client already logged in, you don't even have to put in your password. You just sign in. And you'll go straight to the Bentley Learn server, and if you scroll down to number 5, Open Road Designer Geometry for the surveyors. This is one that's going to be important. You're going to find a series of videos that are very good and that Bentley has done. And one in particular, there's a series under Open Roads, Where's My COGO Tools? They're all really important, so you need to understand them. But this one, just to let you know, there is no Geopack. COGO is different. And I don't have time to show it here. That's a discipline unto itself, but and they do a very good job of showing you how to get started in using COGO. So I'm going to move on and close this and get back to ORD and talk a little bit about the setting the workspace. So when you're done, when you've looked through the screen over here on the right side, you can move over into ORD and it's going to look something like this. However, if it's the first time you've ever opened it, it's really going to look like this. It's going to have no workspace, no workset. Okay, and so you're going to need to set it to FDOT. Once you do that, you can choose your work set, or you can create another one. I'm going to create one or two here and show you a little bit about it. Create work set. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1. That's 11 numbers. You can put in a description. You can add text for the properties. You can put in a date, but you've got to choose a template work set right here. You have to choose this template work set or you will not get all of your folders. So choosing that, say okay, and it's going to open up Open Roads Designer. I'm going to create another one because I want to delete that one and show you how to do that. So let me create another one. I'm going to call this one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 8s. And I'll just call it training. And how about putting in a date? 8/7/2019, and choosing my template work set, say okay. And the work set must be a unique name. Template, let's see, what have I done wrong here, guys? Choose this one. Okay, no, well, I'll use the one I just had. So this particular one, when you jump in to ORD, you're going to want to start creating your files. And what you want to do is you need to be in a file to use the FDOT folder and use the create files. So what the CAD support folks have done is they've added a file, and you're going to need to navigate to it. Sometimes it shows right up, but you may need to navigate it to it. And so if I look under this work set, you see I'm already in it. Down at the bottom, now not in the survey folder or any other folder, you're going to see a drawing1.dgn. I'm going to open that file, and it's going to say it's a read-only file. Press cancel to close this file. Okay, and that's what we want. It's a read-only. This file is not for production use. It's only for the purpose of opening ORD, having a file, and using your FDOT menu bar. And so that take just a moment to open. Let's see. And that gives me a chance to talk about setting the workflow. So as you see in this file, when you open it, it's going to say this file should not be used for FDOT work. It is a read-only file. Right up here, you can see it's read-only. And so what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about this workflow. This is the upper left, and you're going to have to choose your workflow. So you see on the workflow, on the Open Roads modeling workflow, there is an FDOT tab. Okay, and you have FDOT functionality. I want you to note that on other workflows, like drawing production, there is no FDOT tab. If you look at survey, there's no FDOT tab. It's not on any of the workflows except for the Open Roads modeling. And so I want to talk a little bit about the FDOT ribbon. You've got your selection set, your standards right here, your websites, CAD support, etc., sell apps, search for sales, your actions, you got your link data manager. If you want to set your coordinate system, if it's not already set, you can do it here. Workspace Doctor, your QC. These are things I use from time to time. And then you also have FDOT. You can see what version you're using. This is FDO Connect 10.1.00. It was released on July 26th. But what I'm really interested in is this create files right here. So I want to start creating files for my project. And when I open it, let's see. See it happen, not responding. If I don't crash, it would figure. Okay, and yep, it is going to crash on me. All right, let me open it up. This shouldn't take long. I'm going to open that drawing one. You notice that when it's going to have recent files now that one's been opened. So I'll go right back to this file. And here we go. Probably a good time to go over to the FDO tab and run the Workspace Doctor. Okay, and noting on that note, there is a clear crash. If I hit that run all, it does a really good job of cleaning things up and making things run a lot faster. Okay, let's see what it does. Okay, let's see if it opens a lot faster this time. Okay, there it goes, right into it. Okay, I'm gonna open this up. All right, let's see if I can run my create files now. And there it is. And notice that up top, I have the workflow set. You can choose your discipline as always, survey files or roadway files, whatever you need. I'm going to open this this SURVRD file, and notice down at the bottom there's of course counties, and when you set your county it automatically sets your coordinate system, and I'll create the SURVRD file. So it's going to open it up, and I'm ready to start bringing in data. One thing I'll note real quick is for the surveyors, you had to pay attention to that drawing scale and the annotation lock. You don't have to do this in ORD. The annotation lock is going to always be on, but it's not an issue, and you'll see that as we go on. Bentley has really kind of fixed all that mess that you had to deal with in SS4. Okay, and so all of this, I'm ready to, like I said, start, but if I want to switch to another work set or delete this work set, and that's one of the things I wanted to show you, I come in here and I go back over here to the file area, and you don't see a work set or a workspace. You have to actually close this file, hit the close button, let that close down. And you're back at the initial screen where you create your work set or select your work set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a work set here, this one 8887, and I'll choose the SURVRD that you can see I've already been in it. And what I want to mention is that particular one, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's say I want to delete that file, okay, delete that work set. I'm just done with it. I've got to start over. And I don't know about you, but I run into this from time to time. So if I roll down and go to work sets, FDOT, and I'll go down here, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, and I just delete it, okay? That's not going to completely delete it. I have to go right up here where it jumped up to the parent directory, FDOT, and I'm going to jump down here to this CFG and this DGNWS file, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and delete those, and that will delete it from your work sets. Once you restart ORD, you'll see that they're gone from the selection set. Okay, so moving on, and let me go over back to my PowerPoint and talk about what is different from SS4. Okay, the Project Explorer is different. it has these menu style tabs instead of the little tabs up top. And it has a lot of them for each area category that's needed. The survey workflow ribbon is something that's new. Annotation ORD is quite different, and I want to talk a little bit about point feature cells because there's a little twist on that you need to know. So let me jump back over to ORD, and I want to talk a little bit first about the Project Explorer, and it's right here, okay? And in this Project Explorer, I have different categories or tabs, so to speak, and we have what you've seen before. Here's your open road models, okay? So if you have models in your file, you're gonna see them here. If you have an alignment, there's your baseline. If you have a terrain model, which there's not one right now, it will be here. Other linear geometry, such as the right-of-way lines that you see right here, these are actually, these are not just graphic lines, they are horizontal geometry lines. You'll see those, okay? If you go on down to open road standards, that's where your feature tables are. You can look, and they're also selectable, you know, to visualize. So once you open up, you can see down here, you can look under survey, linear points, linear features and point features. There's the alignment. I can turn it on and off. Terrain models, turn those on and off, etc. Even some of the linear, the horizontal geometry points and linear, like those right-of-way lines, for instance, I can actually unvisualize and visualize just by checking them off. Okay, good way to change things like zones or DTM attributes. Okay, so the survey ribbon itself is under a workflow. So I have to change workflows up here at the top. Under its open roads modeling, I'm going to change to survey workflow. And I have a survey ribbon. There is no FDOT tab, so I'm going to go through a few of these items in here. So this first one is where I'm going to see and manage my element templates. Okay. The next one, of course, this is levels. You got your color, weight, style, or weight and style, etc. Your Explorer on and off under your primary tools, reference files, level managers, your selection sets. Okay, so you got your model analysis and reporting, you know, those kind of things. Model imports, you can do those here also under your home tab, import terrain model, import geometry. Under field book, of course, you've got your Explorer, then you've got details. So if you select features or linear or point feature groups, there's where you're going to see them. Element selections, you know, your fence. Now it's got a field book. You can open it here. You can add a point, or you can still do it the way we did it in SS4, which is to go down here and actually right click on a point feature. You got new, okay, down here. But something that's really important you need to know about is under import and export, you got a new category, Bentley Survey, okay? And you also can do that under your field book right here, export to Bentley Survey format. And it's important to understand this one because it is a different type of format for exporting and importing the field book. It is a SQLite, so it gets all the point and chain attributes much better than a LandXML. And that LandXML only has a limited amount of fields to put data into, and the SQLite is much more robust. Okay, use that when you're moving field books around. Let me cancel this. Okay, so under analysis or analyze, again, you have the selection set, the primary, but right here you have what we've seen before. You've seen this before, the toggle for all annotations that will turn on and off your survey labels, okay, your actual annotations themselves. There aren't any VBA macros. I'll talk about that in a minute, but this is something that's new, and if you haven't seen it, this, if you notice, and I look down here, I'm gonna zoom in to points, there are no point labels anymore. Okay, there's no name right here, elevation, description, you know, the text survey text survey underbar EP. Those labels are gone. Bentley did away with that. They were hard for a lot of people to keep up with how they work. They would either annotate or not annotate, and it was really a problem. So now they just have these decorations. Okay, so if I put a name, it just puts a name out here, and it zooms in and out. Okay, and this is the way it's going to work. You don't have to do anything else. Just what I'm doing right here. Turn on your elevations. Turn on your descriptions. Okay, did I turn on my descriptions? Yeah, and some don't have descriptions, so you won't see them. Turn the names and elevations off, leave the descriptions on for a moment. So anywhere there's a description, there is a description in the point attribute field. Okay, so moving on, I want to go on down the list here for a moment before I talk a little bit more about annotation. We got edit. You've got your chain editors that are linear and point edit for your chains. You got terrain, where you can import, create terrains from a file, although we still normally do it right here by saying create terrain model from fieldbook selection set. Geometry is a little bit different animal in that here's where you're going to find your horizontal geometry lines and arc tools. Okay, and your import, export for land XML, or you can even import GPK data right here. Your civil toggles for civil accurate draw, and then we also have, this is a little bit different. It's these are, if you select this, select point, you're going to see that you can put in, there's some 2D points. Okay, so if you go over here to the drop down on the element point dialog box here, you'll see, and this is the contextual box, it always comes up. Okay, so I've just got it docked in case you wondered. Okay, so you got calculated points. So this was added, this is actually new. If you select that, you can come in, it's actually on it, so it's got you can name it. So you can have calculated points up here. I'll just stick one right here, for instance. You also have concrete monuments, you know, that there's and we'll add a few more as we go along. Rod monuments, solid here. So for right-of-way purposes, you can put these on here, and these 2D calculate these 2D geometry points. These are actually geometry points. They will show up in the Open Road standards here as civil models. They are annotative, which brings me over to, let me just say one more thing. You got your modify over here, it's your start station, so and you can set your complex geometry. So if you want to add equations, you do all that right in here. Okay, so I'm going to move over to drawing production, and note that we can change scales here. Okay, and these points, these 2D geometry points, are annotative. Okay, so they will change with the scale. So if you need them to get down really small, you know, you could do that. Okay. Okay, so that brings me to something I want to talk about a little bit about, and that is annotation and the survey labels that we're going to generate. And that is right here under annotations. It's under your drawing production, and you'll see that in quite a few of the different workflows. And you can annotate by selecting this, any particular feature, select it, right click, and if this guy anchor, right, see where it says guy anchor right here, if it's there, it's going to generate a label. Okay, you can select more than one. I'll select this this monument here and this tower right here, and anything else that's actually, here's another guy anchor right here. Select that. I'm holding the control button and selecting them, and now hit annotation, select, and now I've got the monument label, I've got another guy anchor, and there's a tower label right here. Okay, so you can do multiples with selection sets. Now, you can select, you can do you can just select a whole bunch like that if you want to. But that's a little dangerous. And you also have this model annotation right here where you can select everything in the file. Okay, so if you select this and say, yes, it will annotate everything in the entire view. And that's also a little risky because it does something that's actually a defect. It produces anywhere that there's a survey feature like this, this railroad warning sign, for instance, that does not have a description, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and go over to analyze and turn those descriptions off. So if it doesn't have a description, what it'll do when you go to drawings for production and you annotate the entire model, all the models at once, it's going to create empty text nodes. They're hard to see. In fact, at this scale, you won't see them all at all. But as you zoom way out, you'll start seeing these funny looking little white dots. You'll wonder what they are. And if you select it, you'll see it's just an empty text node, and it creates them everywhere. If you have thousands of points that have no description, you're going to get thousands of text nodes. So I've got a little trick I can show you on how to get around that. So I'm going to say all point features. We'll select those down here, and I'm going to go over to my analyze and open my details. So I've got all my point features. These are all the attributes for the point features. And I'm going to go to description, right click, and say sort descending in order to bring all the descriptions to the top. Okay, select the first one, go down until there's no more descriptions, hold my shift, select that, right click, and I can create a selection set right there. So I won't be creating a selection set for all these others down here that don't have a description. Okay, I hope you follow that. Then go to my drawing production, select annotate, select the screen, and now you're going to see I've got point labels all over the place. Now, everywhere that I selected. I'm going to do the same thing for the linear features just to show you. Select that, go to my analyze details, bring that thing up, sort by descending, select the top one, go down to here where there's no more descriptions, shift, hold the shift down, select them all, right click, selection, create selection set, and again, go back to my drawing production, click on the screen, and now I have labels for all my linear features also. And of course, like in SS4, we can still filter. Okay, let me do this to get rid of that thing. We can filter by standard file names. We got that, we got topo, utilities. Okay, there they are. It should be only the labels for topo, only the labels for utilities. Okay, right, that existing labels that actually have a label, a description attribute in the description field. And then also note we still have the these handy level features like curb and gutter. Let me turn the utilities off. Curb and gutter. There's pavement markings, that kind of stuff. Still's there. If you want to just look at labels, we got all existing survey labels. Okay, I must not have turned some of those off. Yep, the gutter's still on. And so you can see, or if you just want to see monuments, there's your monument labels. Okay, that kind of stuff. And so these are all handy little labels, handy little level filters that you should use. Okay. So moving on, let me turn that off, get everything back, and let's see. So that's the one thing about labels I got to mention, that there is somewhat of a defect in that these labels, you can do things like you can edit them, guy anchor, you know, metal or whatever you want to put in there. and it's going to work the way any text does. The problem, you can move them around, you know, it doesn't really matter, but the problem is the being portable. These labels don't seem to want to move to another file very well. Bentley is aware of this. They're working on a fix. Okay. Hopefully they actually told me they would like to have this done on their next release. So we'll see if they can get that done. Okay, so I want to talk. One other thing while I'm here, I want to show you about labeling. And let me do this. I want to do something here. I'm going to just remove all the labels from the entire model by using this. Okay, and it's going to circle for a second, and then it should remove all the labels. And of course, unless it crashes like it just did. It just crash on me? No, it did it. Okay. Let me close the survey details. Okay, so I removed all the labels. What I want to show you, and I'm going to turn off, I'm going to unvisualize all the features in the file. So you still got these geometry, these 2D geometry. Those are not the survey features. And I want to talk about labeling or annotating the alignment for a moment and how that affects survey. So if you have your alignment in the file, and it's good to have it, because if you want to do any kind of offsets from your baseline to say like monuments like these or something like that, something else in your file, you're going to need to have that alignment in the file. Now, if you annotate it, you select this annotate feature right here and select right click and reset, you're going to get annotations for it. These annotations are scalable, okay, with the drawing scale. However, there's a little quirk that you need to know, and that's about, if you go back up to Open Roads Modeling and you go to the FDOT tab and you look at these filters, this is how you're going to turn on just the tick marks that you want to see. So if you just want to see 500 scale style tick marks, you're going to have to do it right here, okay, at 1,000 and 5,000. Of course, this is way too small an alignment to really effectively show that, but anything from 100 down, you should be good. Just change your drawing scale. Go back to drawing production and change it down to like 40, for instance, okay? And of course, like other text, you can deal with this. Something I do want to note though is that for the survey, for the SURVRD, in my opinion, it's not really necessary. I mean, if you want to put these in the file, it's not a sin, it's not going to fail QC, but it is something that's really not needed for the SURVRD, because really the proper place to put these alignments and these annotations is in the Align RD, where there's nothing else there. Because what happens here, as you change scale and you turn on everything else, it really kind of becomes a mess. You know, it's really hard to see it. But if you need it, you can do it. I'm going to remove the annotations for this one for the moment. So just to did I select them? Remove, select. Okay, right click. I'm not sure why I did not. I need to select them first. Select it. Now, data point. Now they're gone. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit also about, well, before I do that, I was going to say point features, but before that, I want to show you one other thing that you're going to need to know, which is a quirk. It's actually a defect, and Bentley's working on that too. And so I'm gonna turn off all my visualizations. I'm gonna go down here to filters, and I'm gonna make a terrain model, and I'll just use the ground DTM. I could use zone filters 1 and 2, but I'll just use ground DTM filters for now. And I'm going to select everything in the set, and go up here like I normally do to the field book where it says right click and say create terrain model from field book set. But what you're going to notice is there's no selection set. So when I selected this and I right clicked, it all disappeared. Okay. So there's a trick to this. You have to select them. You have to hold your control button down, which I'm doing at the moment. Now I'm going to right click and say create terrain model for select set, and I have a terrain model. Okay. Something else I want you to note, is when I do a selection set. Let me select this and delete it. I don't really need it for the moment. When I do a selection set and the properties dialog box is in focus and I select it, watch what happens. See this circling right here? Right here? It's going to circle for a couple of seconds. Well, believe me, if you have thousands and tens of thousands of points in the file, it's going to circle for a lot longer than a second. I've had them circle for an hour. Okay, and that's only because this properties dialog box is in focus. If I focus somewhere else, level display, elements, whatever, and select it, it's instantaneous. Okay, so you can't have your properties dialog box in focus, or you very well could end up with circling for an hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Okay, and Bentley is aware of it. They said that it's a defect they're going to correct at some point. So point feature cells, let me turn all this back on. And I want to talk just a moment about point features, because this is something you also need to know. If you look at our point feature cells, okay, in fact, I'll go ahead and I want to show you this. This is a search ribbon right up here. If you haven't used ORD, this is extremely handy, because if you don't know where all your tools are and you don't want to go looking for them, you go in here, and I want the cell library. So I'm going to type in CELL, and there's my cell library. And if I hover on it, it's going to tell me where it is. It says it's under Open Roads Model, Drawing, Primary, More. So I'm already under Open Roads Modeling. I look under Drawing, which is right here, Primary, and here's my More, and so there's my cell library. And I could have just typed it in from up here and hit it. And what I want you to know is that I'm going to go down here and select my cell library, but I'm looking for my SYENG, and I don't see it, and there's no RWENG, and that's by design, because we removed those from the cell library. There's now only a survey.cell. Okay, it's one cell library. There is no difference between right-of-way cells or symbols and roadway symbols, existing symbols. I got to say that right-of-way existing symbols and roadway existing symbols, because they are the dashes that were put in that were originally used for roadway. So if I select this telephone pole, for instance, let me just demonstrate what I'm talking about. The line style here, right here, is 0. So there are no more dashed levels for line styles for existing point feature symbols. Okay, the reason we did that was one mainly from complaints. I mean, we get complaints from all over, including utility companies, who say we can't read them, we can't see them, and they're right. If you plot these with the old dash from SS4 with the dash symbols, you can't tell what they are. You plot them to a PDF or to a paper, you just can't even recognize them. This, over here, this single support sign, for instance, you could not tell what it was. So what we've done is we put inherent graphical dashes in, and then just left the line style as 0, a continuous line style. So here's like, for instance, this is your stormwater manhole. Okay. Now some symbols were never dashed before, so we didn't dash those, like this railroad warning sign. I can't tell you exactly why that is, but there are quite a few, and of course monuments, and there are others. But roadway design, at some point when they dashed all those cells, they chose not to dash these, and so we did not dash anything that was not already dashed. Okay. One other thing I want to mention is that the pavement marking symbols, like this ahead, for instance, if I double click and put an ahead symbol right here, there, and let's say maybe let me go down to the T's and get up. Here's a straight turn area left, for instance. Let me put this down here a little bit. Put this here. These pavement symbols we didn't dash either. Now in the proposed, they are filled in. They're solid white. Of course, they'll plot black on a white paper. But these are open, and so we left them. They were also a little hard to read as dashed. It's hard to figure out where to put dashes in these letters and still read them. So we really felt like we didn't need to, since they are so much different than the roadway proposed symbols anyway. And one other point is that, for instance, and I'll just mention that because it was up there, we did have to change the cell names on some of these symbols, like ahead, because what Bentley does is it goes and finds the first cell named ahead, and it would pick the proposed. So we had to actually change the name so it would dig a little deeper and find the survey cell. Okay. And let's see. That pretty much covers that portion of what I wanted to talk about. You go back to the PowerPoint, and I want to talk just a moment on how to convert SS4 to ORD. I've touched on this before, but I want to make it clear. Converting a design survey from SS4 to ORD, you can do that, and this is not my process. This is Bentley's process. This is what they told us to do. Okay, they said export the SS4 terrain models to a 10 and delete the 10 from the original DGN. Okay, export the SS4 alignments to a land XML and delete the alignments from the land XML. Okay, I mean from the original DGN file. Okay, from the SURVRD. Then you want to export all the other SS4 data into pure graphics, and what that means is that you go to your field book, and even if you have multiple field books, you don't have to choose them all. You just choose any one of them. As long as they're visualized on the screen, this is going to work. So just choose one of the field books, right click, and say export to DGN graphics. If you do that, it will turn the entire file. It actually creates a new file, and everything in there will be graphics, except for any civil models like the terrain model or the alignment. And we've already deleted them. So you're going to end up with a file that just has pure graphics. If you do that, you can bring that into ORD. You can import it. You can reference it and merge it into ORD. You can import the 10 file. You can import the land XML file, and you can give this to design. Okay, and they can use it. We've been doing this a little bit, and the only curve in all of this is that if you have labeling, especially those point labels, but any labeling that is set to true on annotation scale, or is annotation is set to true, then you're going to run into an issue. And depending on how it was done. Now, if they are, and also with things like arrowheads, folks like to go in and individually scale those lines. They're actually line styles, and scale them up and scale them down, okay, and then make them annotation also. And that's where the problem comes in. They all need to be set to 1-to-1. So there's a tool in SS4 to do that, to do it to your entire file. But you may have to deal with text. And that pretty much covers everything I wanted to cover today. As Matt said, you want to direct any questions to cad.support.dot.state.fl.us. And I guess we still have a little bit of time, so let's go to any questions. Matt, do you have any?
Yeah, we do have some questions that are left over in the question and answer dialogue. If you want to open that up, I did leave a few for you that you would be particularly skilled at answering. Why is the monument so much bigger than the guy anchor?
because I was at 100 scale, and it pushed it way up. At 50 scale, it's around 50 feet. Now, if you are in a 100 scale map and you are putting a monument, if it's down there the size of the guy anchor, you can't see it. It's a dot. Okay, so these monuments that change with the scale, the 2D features is what they are. They are actually features. They're just not survey features. They annotate with the scale. If you're down there around 40 feet, they're not. Oh, and really it's just for visualization. Even when they're at 40, they're just about as big as the guy anchor. But it's all a matter of scale. You gotta be able to see it. Okay, the next one, the annotation comes from the description field. Yes, it does. Okay. Can you manually manipulate these labels to fix the overlap? You can move them all around. You can do lots of things. You can even change fonts. You know, you can put the masking font up. Okay. So the alignment should be in the SURVRD, but the annotation belongs, and I'm going to say that's probably in the Align RD. Oh, I see. Those are already been answered. Oh no, it should still be in the Align RD. Yes, that. And if you technically the construction of the Align RD is the responsibility of the designer, not the surveyor. But I know that you guys are making it, so. There you go. You may have to put the Align RD, put the alignment in the Align RD. And remember, this is not a graphic line. This is a horizontal geometry element. If you don't know what that is, you need to go to that training area that I showed you at the first of the webinar, and there, right at the top, it talked about alignments and horizontal geometry. Okay. Let's see, one that hadn't been answered. Has a new FB setting XML file been generated to reflect the new cells? Yes, it is in the kit. Yes, it's in the apps under, let me see if I can show you. If you're not sure where that is, it is in the it's actually in our state kit. Under, and I'm looking in ORD right here, I think it's under apps, and it's under the Land Excel grouper. And if you see right here, EFB settings, there it is. Okay. Same thing with Civil 3D and SS4. Let's see, what else do I got here? What else do I have? When you do have the export to graphics, when you apply feature descriptions, the elements go to a construction level. When you do that export to graphics, when you apply feature descriptions, I'm not sure exactly what the answer to that is. I'll have to see it, test that, because I haven't seen that. The elements go to a construction level. They should stay on whatever level they are on. So I haven't seen this. When you apply feature descriptions, what does that mean, apply feature descriptions? Okay. Why can't you transfer SS4 data using Bentley Fieldbook instead of graphics? Okay, that's a good question. Because the features in SS4, the civil model features, that includes not just the survey features, but all the civil features that roadway design uses in SS4. And the same features, they look the same, they're named the same in ORD, but believe me, behind the scenes, they are completely different, and which makes them completely incompatible. It's my understanding that Bentley is supposed to do some sort of conversion or something at some point, but at this point, those two files are completely incompatible, and that is the reason. The features are just not even, the insides, it's like they're two alien creatures. One's from one planet, one's from the other. They may look the same, you know, but they're not. Okay, so is there a way to move your SS4 fieldbook to ORD? You can use the Land XML file to do that. You're going to lose some attributes, but yes, you can. Okay. Can you please show where the element template manager is again? You don't have to necessarily be in the survey tab, but it's right up here in the left. You can review this video online also, but there's your element template managers. Okay. Can you still drop labels and any elements with civil data attached to them to regular microstation elements? Well, let's see. You can do that. You can drop them all the way down till they're not even text anymore, and that is the only way you will move them to another file. At this point, even if you and you can test this and you can try it, and if you come up with a way that you can move them over, you found something that Bentley can't figure out and I haven't figured out. They look like text, they act like text, they smell like text, they taste like text. But when you close that file and you try to open that, or you reference it into a new file and you bring those in, you're going to end up with an empty text node no matter what you do. Okay. Bentley is supposed to fix that in the next version. Also has a new point feature list been generated for these new cells. It's going to be in the survey and mapping handbook as always. Well, it's where we moved it through to not quite a year ago, I guess. We did move the survey point features list to the survey mapping handbook. It's going to be updated probably in the next few weeks. The only new cells that are in there though that are not already there is a finished floor elevation cell and the calculated point cell. Okay. You made a comment about importing a GPK file. Does it come in graphically, or do the chains have intelligence? They do have intelligence. If you can go up and under geometry, and you can import, and I don't have one right, I have to go search for one, but you can import geometry right here, and you can choose, I have to move this aside so I can see it. You can choose a geometry GPK file right here and open it, and you'll immediately see what you can import. Okay. Let's see. When exporting to pure graphics to RD, then importing, is the SS4 field book recreated? No. When you export to graphics, it is gone. Okay, gone permanently. And there are no filters either. I could probably show you that. If I right click and I say export to DGN graphics, I won't do this right now, but what I will do is let me open this one where I've done it before. And this one has been exported to graphics, and this is the same exact process in SS4. And I look at the survey, there is no field book, there are no filters, it's only graphics. If you select anything on the screen, for instance, this overhead right here, and apologize, I got to move my webinar stuff to see this properties dialog box, you're going to see that it is a line string. Okay, when export to pure graphics means just exactly what it says. Okay. Let's see, can the text label origins be manipulated? Yeah, sure. You can change them from center to left, right, whatever, but you're still going to have that portability problem. I am a consultant that does a lot of right-of-way mapping. How do you map? You're going to ask me, how do you map an ORD? Because I did not touch that one. Let me see. Where is that? Okay, so here's the short answer is that because Bentley has been real late in implementing their coordinate geometry, it was really tough for us to build any kind of workflow around ORD coordinate geometry. We're going to do that as we move along, but ORD is not ready for prime time right-of-way mapping. And I believe your districts all will tell you that they want you to continue mapping in SS4 for now, but as we move along in the next release in October and then January, we're going to be adding right-of-way mapping functionality. You're going to need to learn how to do COGO in right-of-way mapping. The districts are going to need to learn it, and then we're going to have to build a workflow. This is not going to come overnight. It took years for Geopack when that came along, and it's going to take a little time for ORD also. Chains, parcel, takes, etc. Yeah, it's all a paradigm shift. It is nothing like it was before, so the learning curve is extremely steep. Where can we find this video to watch again? You got that one. What type files are you importing to what type of files are you importing into your field book? Well, everything that was in SS4 is the short answer. Okay, so you can look and see what in your settings and see what type of files that that Bentley will accept. Is there some manual control available when showing baseline tick marks? Stationing, sometimes those will change to the left, right. You're going to need to direct that to our CAD support group. As far as I know, there's not a way to do that. But can you please show where the element template manager is again? I think I already did that one. Again, it's right here. Ew. Okay. Let's see. Is there some manual control? I've got that one. So once you get graphics over, then you create field book from graphics. You don't need a field book. You don't need to deliver a field book to a designer. That you just don't really even need to go there. Okay, I wouldn't unless you have some reason that you need to have a field book, and even then what you're going to end up with is points or with chains with disassociated points. So I would say I wouldn't, unless you have some need for a field book, I wouldn't even go there. Let's see.
Okay, John, we're right at a little bit after 11 o'clock, and we did have a 1 hour time block for this. So I figure we can go ahead and download the question and answers and get these finished up and post them with the recorded webinar when that becomes available for everyone. So I was just going to go ahead and summarize if you're good with that.
10-4. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us here today for the first installment of our bi-weekly webinar series on FDOT Connect and Open Roads Designer. I know that there's a lot of questions that John didn't get a chance to answer. There are a lot of questions to answer. So we're going to take these questions and answers, and we will go ahead and go through them, find the correct answers for you, and create a PDF that we're going to post on the website along with the recording of this webinar for your reference. Now, of course, we do have an email address here once again. If you want to contact CADD.support, that's CADD, C-A-D-D, .support@dot.state.fl.us. Please go ahead and do contact us with any questions. We can answer those and get them to the right person. Otherwise, this will be available for you within a week or so. So I want to thank everyone for joining us here today. Does anyone have any last thoughts they'd like to share? John?
I'm good, Matt. Thank you very much.
All right, great. Thank you. And of course, in 2 weeks, again, on Wednesday in 2 weeks, we will have the next webinar in this series. So stay tuned for that. These are all posted on our website. I'm going to go ahead and make myself the presenter real quick and just show you what I'm referring to. So if you go to our website, once again, it's fdot.gov/CADD, C-A-D-D. Our scheduled webinars are located here in the left column. And you'll see that we do have our series. The next one up is Introducing FDOT Connect. So it'll be a tour through the FDOT Connect workspace. You see a little bit more detail of the ribbon and some of the nuts and bolts that apply to that workspace. We'll talk about that installation guide. So again, thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.